For decades, our software sat waiting for us to press a button. Now, we are handing over the controls. Think back to the chatbots of 2024. You could ask for a schedule conflict resolution, and the AI would give you a brilliant text response. But you still had to open your calendar, find the open time slot, and click Book. In 2026, the agent takes over the logistics. It identifies the conflict, proposes a resolution, books the slot, and notifies the team, handling the entire sequence autonomously. This diagram shows the core loop that makes this possible. First, the agent observes its environment, like your inbox or calendar, and thinks through the problem to determine the next logical step. Then it acts. It connects to external tools to modify a document, send a message, or block your calendar. Finally, it logs the outcome into its memory to avoid mistakes before starting the cycle again. Adopting an agent means you have to change how you work. You stop being the manual operator of your software and start acting as the manager of a digital employee. If you want to run one of these digital workers locally on your own machine, the open source community has largely standardized around two major systems, OpenClaw and OpenHuman. The choice between them comes down to how much time you are willing to spend. You have to decide whether you want to build and manage a complex system architecture or rely on a lower friction framework that does the setup for you. The effort you put in on day 1 directly determines the capabilities of the assistant you get on day 100. So you aren't looking for the objectively superior tool. You are making a calculated trade-off: deep customizable modularity on one hand versus seamless daily continuity on the other. Let's start with OpenClaw. This is built for the power user who needs to orchestrate complicated workflows across multiple different applications. To give OpenClaw its capabilities, you go to a repository called ClawHub and manually install modular skills. If you want it to read your email, you install the email skill. If you want it to edit code, you install the coding skill. Because of this modular approach, OpenClaw can actively manage Slack, monitor Discord, reply on WhatsApp, and organize your local computer files simultaneously. This diagram shows OpenClaw's context management. It uses a rigid text-based memory architecture, relying on local files, memory, soul, and identity, feeding into a central processing node. By typing instructions into these files, you dictate exact boundaries and traits. To change behavior, edit the text. But that level of control has a cost. Managing OpenClaw requires active file maintenance and manual permission routing. For many, it feels like taking on a part-time IT project. OpenClaw demands a high initial time investment, but it repays you with massive automation capability and total behavioral control over your system. OpenHuman takes the exact opposite approach. It is built to eliminate setup friction for the everyday professional. Instead of downloading individual skills, you simply authenticate your core communication apps during the initial install. Once connected, OpenHuman runs quietly in the background. Every 20 minutes, it passively scrapes those connected apps to see what you've been working on and who you've been talking to. This illustrates OpenHuman processing data. Raw inputs from email and calendar automatically structure into an expanding network on your local drive called the memory tree. This gives the agent a deep, ongoing understanding of your life and preferences, requiring zero manual data entry. The downside to this ambient automation is a ceiling on capability. You lose the deep multi-agent coding and complex workflow chaining that larger ecosystems provide. You choose OpenHuman when you prioritize immediate utility and a natural, hands-off interaction, even if it means trading away raw technical flexibility. Regardless of which architecture you choose, running a local agent introduces real vulnerability. These systems have the ability to read your private files and send messages on your behalf. It's tempting to grant your new agent broad, unrestricted access to your entire operating system on day 1. Do not do this. You need to apply the principle of least privilege. Start by giving the agent access to a single folder or a single application. Manually review what it does, and regularly rotate your API keys. Because these agents actively execute commands, strict and continuous security auditing is the baseline requirement for realizing any gains in productivity. Map your technical comfort to your primary goal. For a low-friction daily assistant, follow the path to OpenHuman. To heavily automate workflows across channels, your path leads to OpenClaw. For edge cases, developers use OpenDevin, and managers coordinating autonomous teams rely on Crew AI. Be honest about how much friction you are willing to tolerate. Buying into a complex ecosystem when you only have 10 minutes a week to manage it will inevitably lead to frustration. Forcing yourself into the wrong ecosystem guarantees you will abandon the project in a month. Finding the right match gives you a dedicated digital worker that actually multiplies your output. For a growing number of advanced users in 2026, the answer to the dilemma is actually both. They divide the labor to get the best of both worlds. They deploy OpenClaw for complex data routing and automated work tasks, while OpenHuman maintains personal schedules and emails. The drawback to this hybrid setup is the hardware requirement. Running 2 autonomous systems locally consumes massive computing power and doubles your daily management burden. Whether you choose one framework or attempt to run both, the strategy for success is identical. You must start small. Pick one platform, connect one single app, or install one skill and let the agent run. Local AI agents do not offer an instant magical fix to your workload. They are structural investments in your workflow, systems that require patience up front, but consistently compound in value day after day.